And we live.
We live, baby.
Episode 25 of Sucio Sports. It's Keyz, it's Jermaine, and it's one of the brains behind
what's
the
up, Jair?
operation.
Yeah.
Say hey. You gotta tell everybody hi. You gotta wait. Hold on. They can't see it. There you go. Wave. There you
wave.
go.
There we go.
There you go.
My guy. Presented by Gel Blaster.
No, we ain't.
Episode 25 of Sucio Sports.
Mommy.
We got Jair in the building.
Dad.
The boss.
Let me go ahead.
But yeah, man, we here kicking it, episode 25 of Sucio Sports. And you know, most of the time Keyz will pick out the intro music and stuff, but like, I don't know, this week I wanted to pick it out, and I was just like, I was all over the place. And I just decided to settle on this one just because I felt like, I don't know, it felt appropriate.
This is my favorite one.
Bro, it's mine too. Mine too.
Fire. That new one, I like that last one that he had. With the Uncle Howdy and the door and the. I love that one, but this one, the Firefly one,
bro, this the one, bro.
Where they put the emphasis on the crowd and the. Oh man,
bro, this is the one. This the one, dog. Like for real, for real. Bro, the coldest part about it is I don't think people paid attention to the hurt and heal, right? And then what's really crazy, if you put, oh, what up, backstage, bro? Backstage, bro.
Hey, turn the comments on. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Bro, they every time I tweet something egregious, which is not that often because I really be chilling, like they get all my egregiousness in like the group chats and the private shit. I don't do it in public. But like every now and then I'll say something crazy. And Backstage Brawl, they got this video of I can't remember the comedian name. And he goes, Jermaine. So every time I say something off the wall, they tweet that video. So when I see them say that, I hear the video. But yeah, we have to come with the Bray Wyatt tonight. It was just appropriate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Shit been kind of rough. Like, shit been crazy. I ain't even gonna lie. And like, I don't know. I had talked about it last week from the news that I heard from the week before or whatever, but then I'm back home or whatever, and I'm getting ready for my grandfather's funeral. And one of the people that's responsible for me even being in this position right now, one of my mentors, somebody that legit like believed in me more and even before I even believed in my own self, passed away unexpectedly. And so I get that phone call and everything, and I'm trying to grieve my grandfather, get ready for his funeral, and then I got to deal with this on this other end, personally, professionally, as a friend. And it's like, you get kicked in the nuts enough, but then you get kicked in the nuts again. Like, while you still trying to recover from the other kick in the nuts. And so that's just life. Life be life, and like we say, you know what I'm saying? And Keyz and I are very open and transparent about it. It's like sometimes you had in moments, you just gotta go in your corner, cry it out, get it out, and then move on, because it ain't shit else you can do about it.
Nothing you can do, man. Sometimes you just gotta go in that corner, stand there, cry it out, come out the corner, swing it.
Yeah. It's just one of them things, man, where like you just be, you know what I'm saying? You get so wrapped up in everything that you got going on and that you're dealing with. And then sometimes you really forget to like just let that shit out. And so I had people calling, checking on me, whatever. I was like, I'm okay. I just need a minute. Just give me a minute.
Sometimes you need that alone time, man.
Bruh, like,
and it's so hard because like
the hardest part is I had to be there for my cousins and stuff, because on that side of the family, I'm the oldest, right? So it's like I gotta make sure they straight before I worry about myself. And like I'm always worried about them more than I'm worried about me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm the one they tend to look at like, how he doing? And then I'm the one that's always like checking on everybody and shit like that, and so one of my cousins, he actually wrote this in his talk. He was like, 10 years ago, we were standing here doing this for my grandmother, and I was doing this for my grandfather, whatever. And he was like, I already knew my cousin was going to be right here standing next to me just in case. And it was just one of them things, man, where it was like another one of our relatives. He was like, man, we got to give you a new title. You're going to be the minister of comfort. Because every time it seemed like somebody was having a hard time or something, you was like right there. And he was like, how you doing? And I was like, I'm all right. And I said, if I'm not all right, I'm going to be all right. And that's just how, I tend to respond to everybody. Just, I may not be all right now, but I'm going to be all right eventually. And just kind of showing them, like I'm good, I'm okay. Don't worry about me, because I don't want them to worry about me. I'd rather worry about them. Like I'll be all right. Y'all be the ones that be having a hard time and stuff. Like I know how to deal with it and process it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like y'all be having a hard time and y'all have a hard time. So I'll worry about y'all. Don't worry about me. And that's kind of like how my grandfather was. He didn't want nobody, worrying about him or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of how the person he was. And then my friend Fred that passed away, he was the same way. Fred worried about everybody, but didn't want nobody worrying about him. And it's just like, it's kind of crazy. It fucks you up because you lose your hero and one of your mentors like within a week. And you just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, after all the other shit that I've been through in life, I'm like, man, if this couldn't fuck me up after all the other shit that I done dealt with, I'm solid. Like, Jair, we taking off shirts? That's what we doing? Bro, because I'm not ready yet, bro. Like, you got your summer body ready, Jair. I don't have my summer body ready yet.
Good brother, we are on camera. You can't be taking your shirt off, big dog.
I still got I got A cups, dog. I got like,
you can't be showing them your goodies, brother. You gotta keep that to the secrets.
Like, I can't do what you do, dog. Like, not yet. Let me tone up first.
We know you the Incredible Hulk, brother. Calm down.
Exactly.
No.
Strong man.
No.
Let me see the muscles. What are you?
You're not gonna do the pose? Do the pose. Come on, do the pose.
Where they at?
Boo.
There you go.
Hey, you get a little bit.
Okay.
What up, House? What up, DJ?
What's good? That was good. Was good.
Hey, that's you know what? This was funny. I'm sitting there and we talking and everything, and I was sitting there and I was like, damn, if me and my cousins was the bloodline, who would be this person? Who would be that? And that's all I was thinking about. That's all I was like, damn, I wonder who could.
Not the Buff Bagwell. Chill out.
Look, Tevin.
Not the Buff Bagwell, bro. After what I watched on Dark Side, not the Buff Bagwell. Not the Buff Bagwell, bro.
I promise you this: his mama will not be Judy Bagwell. His mama will kick him in his nuts before she shaves.
Judy Bagwell on a pole match,
bruh.
That's still the funniest match I've ever seen in my life, bro.
Bro, why House calling me Louisiana Omas?
Bro, I must say, before we get into sports, Dark Side of the Ring has not missed yet this season. I watched the Terry Gordy one last night. It was amazing. I learned, so for me, I learned something new about these wrestlers every time, especially like some of the older ones. But what trips me out is I be thinking these guys are older than what they are when they pass. And to find out like Terry Gordy was only 40.
Bruh.
And I'm thinking he was older.
I haven't even watched that one yet.
It's good.
I haven't watched that one yet. And Terry Gordy is one of my favorites, because people don't know. I want to say Terry Gordy actually started wrestling when he was like 13, 14, 15 or some shit like that.
Yeah, he was like 13.
Okay, I couldn't remember the exact age, but I knew this nigga was young as fuck when he started wrestling. And like that's just how it went back then. And he broke in and he was a big kid and he like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, Tevin said he was broken when he was 13. Like, so what happened was like I just knew some of that just from being a wrestling nerd and being a wrestling fan. And I was the kid who came home and everybody else wanted to watch cartoons. I was trying to get to ESPN because they were showing WCCW shows.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because you down south, so you got
So I'm trying to catch ESPN to watch WCCW.
That Freebirds and Von Erich feud, man.
Bruh, Iceman, King Parsons, the Great Kabuki, all them dudes, man. Like fucking Stone Cold, Gentleman Chris Adams.
Ooh.
Shit. This back when Undertaker first started wrestling, he was Texas Red under the mask. Dan Spivey was down there. I'm talking about, and this is just who I'm naming off the top of my head. I ain't got my phone in my hand. I don't have my hand on the mouse to Google shit or nothing like that. Like I just remember this shit like vividly. And I remember my cousin used to babysit us, and I used to go in her room if I wasn't playing her Atari. I was trying to watch wrestling. And then when she was like, nah, you gotta get out of my room, I go in my uncle's room. And I'm like, fuck it, he ain't here. I'm gonna go in this nigga room and watch wrestling. Like, y'all gonna put wrestling on for me in one of these rooms in this house. And that's just how it was. But like, I can't wait to watch that one. But man, Dark Side they've been all hits, no misses. All
the episodes so far, because that Earthquake one was good too. The John Tenter. I learned a lot about him that I did not know. Sorry.
Like I knew he went to LSU. I thought it was for shot put or something like that. I didn't realize it was for wrestling. So I had that I learned. I knew he had an Asian. I kind of remembered he had an Asian wife. I couldn't really remember. I didn't know that the first kid wasn't his son. I didn't know that.
He adopted him.
It's like a bunch of shit that I learned about guys that I thought I knew that I learned even more about.
All of that stuff about Buff Bagwell, never knew. I didn't know any of that. Outside of the TV, I didn't know too much about Buff. outside of the ring. So baby
Look,
Kodak go to bed. Hey man, let me tell y'all something, bro. He took a nice little nap. So he gonna be in and out the camera tonight.
baby Kodak ain't going to bed, dog. He ain't going to bed. He up. He up.
You hear him in the background.
My granny had WCCW and Mid South on all the time. Bruh, like, okay. I saw a lot of like Mid South and some old school stuff the years I lived in Atlanta. On, I believe it was Saturday nights. Yeah, it was Saturday nights between like either 5 or 6 in the evening to like 1 in the morning or so. It was like 6-7 straight hours of nothing but wrestling on this one channel. It was like 6-7 hours straight of wrestling programs on this one, and you got everything from WWF to NWA, WCW. You got old school, like it was 7 straight hours of wrestling, and that's when I really got submerged into a lot of like some of the territories down in the South and whatnot. And it was just cool to see, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing different shit. And Briscoe Brothers, yes.
Yeah, Briscoe's on fire.
Their cat right is no, actually, if you followed us if you follow Lucio Sports on Twitter and Instagram, you will have seen in Black History Month that the first Black World Champion actually happened in like the early 1900s. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We were just trying to give y'all a little stuff. What's up, Dre? Shout out to Dre, man. I was showing Dre some love and commenting on the pre-workout video that he posted. And if y'all not following him, I believe it's Dre Connor 48.
On Twitter?
I think it's on Twitter. I know it's _ Sir Lax-A-Lot. And then on Instagram, I believe it's Dre Connor 48. But if y'all follow Dre has some good sponsors and has some really dope stuff on his podcast, Aim High, his mental health and fitness podcast, and also the Dre Lags podcast as well. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. Okay, here it goes. Yeah, it's Dre Connor 48 on Instagram. And it is, hold up. Let me pull it up right quick. It is _ Sir Lax-A-Lot on Twitter. Give Dre a follow because real talk, Dre is one of the he's at the forefront of lacrosse right now. And I'm telling y'all right now, like lacrosse is about to pop off like soccer did back in the day because they're getting in on the ground level of things and it's about to really pop off. And Dre is one of those people that's trying to bring this shit to the forefront. So just bear with us and hey, you know what? Fuck you, House.
Man, you was there when Bruno went. Yo, that's crazy. Hey.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I do go back and I used to watch that shit. Like, so
I'm like that with sports though. I go back to as far as like the recorded video that we do have for like basketball and football. Football, not so much. Some of them old games was kind of ugh. Like them joints in. Some of the 70s was lit. Some of it is kind of The 80s was okay. Some of it, but basketball, I go back as far as like the tape allows us to go, like as far as they have recorded back. The game really ain't that bad. Like I'm a fundamentalist. I hated the Spurs, but I still like that old school basketball. Like it was just coming down, hook shots, layups, hook shots, backing down, hook shots. So did you have you peeped Bron and JJ new podcast yet?
I haven't even watched that yet. It's on my shit. On when I pulled up the YouTube thing to pull up the intro, it was on my
Tevin, go to hell.
my suggested feeds or whatever the hell. See,
You can go to hell. You can go to fucking hell. See, I
and
curse on
look,
here.
wait,
You can go to
he
fucking
gonna
hell.
look. He gonna say, "Don't follow me on nothing." I don't like none of y'all. I should post his app right now on the fucking stream,
Don't worry about it.
but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna be
I
nice.
will. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna be
His ad
real
is-
nice.
It's A Tevin. It's AYYYE _ Tevin. TEVIN. Not Kevin. Tevin. Follow him on X. He's an amazing guy.
Hey man, see, y'all know. Hey, fuck you. Don't even say that shit because you know I got grown ass kids and that shit is a real fucking possibility. So fuck
That's
you.
a fear. That's a real fear.
Yes, nigga, that is a real fucking fear. Like, but you know what's crazy though? I was talking to the kids one time, and neither one of them really want kids.
That's a blessing.
Neither one of them
For
want
now.
kids.
It's a
And
blessing.
I'm
for
like,
now.
Lord, can you just keep them with this mindset for at least the next 10 years until I can like get myself mentally prepared to be a grandfather? Thank you. I appreciate that shit. Good looking out. Like for real, because that shit, man, bruh. Whew.
But yeah, that I watched the first episode. It was good, man. I will say to hear Bron talk fundamentals and hear him talk X's and O's and like the nuances of the game. And that first him and JJ, it was amazing. I loved it. I had tweeted out and my homeboy did too. If you love basketball, like really love basketball, then that's gonna be the pod for you. Like it's not like what you get from the other sports podcasts. This is like two hoopers really sitting down talking ball. So
Yeah, bro. And I already know like it's gonna be good because here's the thing. You're not talking about just two guys that know ball. You're talking about guys that are really like nerds about this shit. Like
very.
you got guys that are very talented and very knowledgeable, but then you got guys that are like nerds about it and that will actually like they will do all kind of crazy shit.
So it was definitely dope.
Yeah, I got to check it out because I like I just like I like it when you have two guys that have that level of knowledge about the game and love to talk about the game and bring forth that knowledge and whatnot.
I was about to say, nigga, who the hell is the Audio Boys?
I don't know.
He corrected it after that. I was like, who the fuck is the Audio Boys?
Oh, bruh. Like
Hey, that's a dope name. I might have to steal that for another podcast. The Audio Boys. I don't know what we can talk. That's the music one.
But look, I didn't want to say nothing out loud because I'm like, hey, I'm about to text y'all on the group. Like, hey, this is what we need to do it.
The Audio Boys. Hey, House, you in on that? I ain't gonna leave you out.
House said we need a drink chance for the NBA. Like, and that's to me.
I feel like that's who has a drink champs for. Would that be kind of like what Uncle Shay and Gil do, or no? Because when you think drink champs, it's like you having guests on. I would say that's what All the Smoke is, though. In a sense, that's what I would think. All the Smoke is like a drink champs.
House just said it.
They don't smoke anymore, but All the Smoke is kind of the drink champs of sports. Because
to me, Stack and Barnes, like they really like they keep it real.
They do their research, kind of the same way Nori does. I give
Yeah.
Nori that. Nori does, even if it's a guest he knows personally, he still does his research when he's asking. He has this little cue card, like so a lot of the songs that I get come from Tevin.
Really?
Yeah, I got one in the inbox and I meant to use it for tonight.
Look at
We'll
this
use it for
nigga,
next
man.
week.
Nigga trying to hit us.
Hey, bro, we broke over here, bro.
Broke, nigga. Broke.
You see this hair? This costs. This ain't cheap.
Look, bro,
this?
look. I ain't even shaved my own head.
Hold on, let me slide that up. You see all that
I ain't
hair?
even shaved my own head.
I won't show the mic. Okay, there you go. Anyway, all that hair. Nah.
Look. Man, look. But yeah, like it's like there's so much like good content out there, but then it's a lot of bullshit content out there too.
Yeah.
And I
think I pretty much like Gil's arena, Gil joint. I don't really watch it for like, I mean, sometimes, but like, I mean, I watch it. I don't really watch it for the knowledge. Sometimes, yeah, you'll get some good gems. For the most part, it's just the wild takes that you about to get from them, from all of them. Like it just be wild takes that I'm just like sometimes I think when you're coming from the NBA world or NFL or anything, and then you're going into a podcast, it's hard to take yourself out of it in the sense of being that athlete.
Yes.
And you like anytime they have like that one discussion they were having about the greatest of all time type, it was the greatest era, the 2000s versus the 2010s. And like when they were talking about certain people, I think they were like with Gil, I think when he thinks of their name, he was thinking of who they are in totality instead of who they were during that time, like during the 2000s. Like I would never, like during the 2000s, that 2000 to 2010, for me personally, I would, because Bron didn't come in the league until 2003. So he's already behind the curve in a sense, the first 3 years. He would be like second or third team. There's no way I would put Bron first team of the 2000s for me, but of the 2010s, automatic first team.
Yeah.
I think when Gil was looking at it, he was looking at it like LeBron instead of who LeBron was during the 2000s. Like from that 2003 to 2010, I wouldn't put him, Melo, or D-Wade first team, personally. Not in the 2000s. Now the 2010s, because you got to remember, you still had the Kobe's in the league. You still had the J Kidd. Like there were still some dogs that were there. Now from that 2010 to 2020, that next 10, yeah, for sure. I for sure would put them there. But that 03 to 10, nah. It's hard because they were still coming in, even though that just for me, I wouldn't. But listening to that conversation to that episode, oh my eye, I feel like Gil was saying it as in like when he's saying names, he's looking at who they were total. Just give me Lamar. Hold on. Yeah,
my bad. Hold on. Here's the thing, though.
Like when I look at that, take Lamar Odom out and put KG in, and I'm with you on that one. I don't want to hear shit Lamar Odom got to say about basketball.
I'm just saying, though, like, I look at
KG in.
Like Bron won 2 MVPs in that stretch, though. He never averaged. His lowest average in that stretch was his rookie year at 20.9. And if you take out that rookie year, his lowest average points per game was 27.2.
It's
Like, and he
hold on,
was he was
hold on. Let me
he
find the list.
was rookie of the year his rookie year and finished ninth in the MVP. He was All NBA second team and finished sixth in the MVP. All NBA first team, second in the MVP. All NBA second team, uh, fifth in the MVP. All NBA first team, fourth in MVP. MVP, All NBA, defense first team, second in defensive player of the year. Same thing the next year, last year, the 2010s or whatever. MVP, All NBA, NBA first defensive team, fourth in defensive player of the year. So, like, it'd be hard for me to leave him off that 2000s first team just because of what he accomplished, mainly at the back end of it. But I mean, I
So
get
I'm gonna
what
tell
you're
you who
saying.
they.
There's so many
So
guys
this
in the
came
front
from.
end of that decade that you could put ahead of him. I get what you're saying.
So I'm gonna tell you. So this is what they had. It came from Sport News,
Mhm.
and which was it really came from like the NBA conducted this. Mhm. So this was the first team All NBA of the 2000s with Dirk Nowitzki, Kobe, Shaq, Tim Duncan, and Steve Nash. So a lot of people, so on the panel, they were saying you could take out Steve Nash and you
Mhm.
could put in Braun, or no, it was somebody else. It was somebody else they took out. It was another guard. I'm trying to remember who the guard was. But
Let
I'm also
me
not mad if you take Nash out and put Braun in from what you just said.
I'm really not mad at that. And it's mainly because Steve Nash had a great career and he had two MVPs in that stretch. But we could also argue he stole him two MVPs from Kobe. At least one of them I know for sure he stole from Kobe. The other one is debatable because it could have been Kobe, it could have been Tim Duncan, and it could have been, I want to say it was T Mac or somebody that could have won it that year or something like that, or Melo, or something like that. But I know one year clearly he stole it from Kobe. And so when I look at like what they're doing and how they labeled it and everything, like everybody, as long as you present me with a decent enough argument, I'll hear it. I'll at least listen to it and consider it.
So I'll tell you, this is I had to find the rest of the list. So this was
Uh-huh.
second team. Second team was Jason Kidd, Allen Iverson, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, and Ben Wallace. That was second team.
Okay.
Third team was a little iffy to me, but third team was Chauncey Billups, Dwayne Wade, Paul Pierce, Tracy McGrady, and Amari Stoudemire. And honorable mentions was Vince Carter, Ray Allen, Carmelo, Pau Gasol, Manu Ginobili, Dwight Howard, Yao Ming, Chris Bosh, Elton Brand, and Gilbert Arenas.
Okay.
And this is of the 2000s. So this is 2000 to like 2009.
Yeah, send me that link. I want to read that later on and look into it because, like, with stuff
I
like
got you.
that, man, there is so much to unpack there, and there's so many guys. Really, it's based on how you prefer things to be seen. Do you like the more traditional style of having a point guard, a shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center? Or do you like a more fluid style where you just want five good hoopers on the court at the same time? Um, do you prefer to play inside out or outside in? It's really based on preference, um, what you grew up watching, and also the style of basketball that you enjoy watching and that you find entertaining, fulfilling, whatever. Because when I look at if I want to pick an all-time team, just not confining it to any era, if I'm gonna pick a big, my big is gonna be Hakeem Olajuwon. Because to me, Dream could play in any era, and bust ass. because he may not have been like
I agree.
a great outside shooter, but Dream could hit that little fadeaway. He could hit that little elbow jumper or whatever consistently, right? Dream could also guard different
Yeah.
positions. So if he was playing in this era right now, Olajuwon could switch off onto a Steph Curry and not get like totally embarrassed, like some of these guys are. You put Rudy Gobert type of guy on a Steph Curry, and it's a fucking mismatch from jump, right?
Yeah.
You put an Olajuwon on a Curry, and it's not really gonna look like a mismatch. So that's why I prefer that, but then also just to Hakeem not guarding Kyrie. I'll put it to you like this. You could pick any big man in history. If there was one big man in history, I would say, well, I need to pick a big to go against Kyrie. Hakeem will be that big.
And I would say I agree because of the footwork. Hakeem
That's what I'm saying.
Footwork. I think he's the only big footwork wise, I'm thinking as I'm saying it, that could like stick with Kyrie without losing him. I think every other big would lose Kyrie.
Thank you. That's
no. I give you that. I give you that. He is Kyrie. I definitely give you that. But Hakeem footwork. That's why he was coaching so many big guys. Like after he was done, like big guys were paying to go to him. Like the Embiids have been paying in the offseason to train with him because the man footwork was just crazy. It was different. It definitely was different. So hold on. Let me give you the other side. The all decade 2000s team, 2010. So first team was Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron, KD, and Marc Gasol at center. I kind of was shocked by the Marc Gasol one, but I did think about
this is 2010.
How 2010. So it's like 2010 to 2019. So that would be the 10-year. And that's why I was like, I had to think about it. And I was like, nah, Mark was getting busy during that time. Like Mark was that nigga. So
I mean, he was,
second
but
team,
it's like,
if I can get down to it, is
read off that second team and let me see what that.
I would switch. So for me,
the guards and wings,
and I was about to say, when I tell you the second team, it's that center, right? So for me, because of during that 2010s, the center that made second team should be in the first team for me. So the second team is Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard. I feel like Dwight Howard should be the starter, should be first team, and Mark should be second. I'm not mad that Mark is first, but I would have switched them.
Here's why I agree with you. Dwight won, I want to say 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards in that time frame. Okay. He led the league in blocks like 4 times in that time frame. Marc Gasol won 1 Defensive Player of the Year award in that time frame, and some think that one should have gone to Miami Heat LeBron, actually, that year when Mark won it. When Dwight won it, it was undisputed. Like, no, that nigga is the best defensive player in the league. It's his award, bar none. The rebounds and blocks and everything else, like, no, that's his award. That year Marc Gasol won it, it was always that, damn, it's almost like that year David Robinson won MVP and Olajuwon like, no, that's my trophy. It was like that. And
replace Mark with Jermaine O'Neal. Not in the 2010s.
No,
I don't think Jermaine O'Neal was. No. I think Jermaine O'Neal was done by then. I might be wrong, but I believe he was.
Even if he wasn't, I can't replace Mark with Zebo either because
not during that time. And they were on the same team. And to be honest, Mark was stronger than Zebo at that time.
Right. And Zebo's thing was he had a good post game and he had an okay game facing up. He couldn't really like drive by you or nothing like that. He just had a couple of little moves he could do and he used his power.
Mm-hmm.
But Gasol was good offensively and defensively. And that's
And he
what
could shoot
separated. Huh?
He was one of the first bigs that was consistently shooting the three too.
Yes. One of the first like super,
Consistently.
like you had other bigs that could shoot it, but he was like the first like this dude's like 7 foot, like 270, 275, 280, whatever the fuck. Like he's a big ass dude.
Because you got to remember him, and his brother in Spain. That's like that was a game. Like the Gasol brothers was running shit when it came to Spain and basketball. So, I don't think I told you the third team. Oh, so third team's not bad because this is mostly a lot of outside of like the one guard and one forward. The rest were guys that were kind of like still strong, but they were like phasing out in a sense. So Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, Draymond, and Tim Duncan. So 3 of those 5 were kind of like fading out.
Kobe
at the latter
Duncan
end.
And Dirk, yeah.
And then Draymond and Dwayne Wade a little bit, but
they opened but see again, it goes back to that 2000s argument. Some of those guys opened the decade so strong, and then you had a few guys that closed that decade strong. Same thing with Dirk and Tim Duncan and Kobe. They opened that decade strong.
Yep. But then
they didn't even finish it. They were retired by the time the decade was over.
Yeah, and even in that 2000s one, like you said, like Kobe and them opened it.
Yeah.
But then Bron and them were that was when we were going into the 2010s is when we got Miami Bron, but still a lot of those
Miami
guys that
Bron,
were,
and then we got go back to Cleveland and fight Golden State Bron.
We got
same
all of that
one
in
decade
the
right there.
Exactly. So, and even with Draymond being third team is still good because that was during the Golden State golden years. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I'm actually shocked Clay didn't make the 2010s list. I felt like him, Dre, and Steph should have been on that. I think Clay was if I remember, let me look. He's a honorable. Nope. Yeah, he did. So honorable mentions in this one were Giannis, who was really young, Klay Thompson, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Tony Parker, LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Carmelo, Chris Bosh, and Kyrie Irving. That 2010s is so tough because even those guys who made the honorable mention have great cases of at least being third team. Like I can understand taking Tim Duncan out and putting a Bosh in, or maybe a LaMarcus Aldridge, because I'm thinking of big men like center. I could understand taking Bosh or LaMarcus and putting them in. Maybe even Blake Griffin at that point, because during that 2010s he was crazy. Clippers may not have been winning, but Blake was getting his number and getting off. So
yeah. Bro, it's so much ball that like in those 2 decades, like just to try to break it all down and discuss it and parse it out and figure out who's
because
like,
they got into it. I gotta, if I can find that episode to send to you, or at least the clip of that part, they were arguing the whole time. Because Rashad McCants said some wild, Rashad said some wild stuff that made everybody want to fight him. Gil, I ain't gonna lie, Gil made me want to come through the TV and swing on him because I'm just like, who else? Kenyon was ready
on some wild shit, and I just
Kenyon Martin was ready to fight everybody because he was like, "Nigga, y'all is stupid." He just kept calling everybody stupid. He was like, "You niggas is stupid," and he said it just like that, like, "You niggas is stupid." Like, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to you, stupid niggas.
Bro, this shit is crazy, bro. Because it's like when you see them come out of themselves and that like the personality and everything just starts to come out, bro. I promise you, like that shit is like it's almost like it just does something to you because it's like these niggas' personality is like on the court and everything, and who you know them as players and whatnot. It's starting to come out of them in the podcast and whatnot. And then you get some of these guys, former athletes and whatnot, you like, oh wow, I didn't know this guy was this opinionated or thought
Or
like this.
had this
Whatever.
much
Right.
personality.
Right.
This
And so
animated.
you either learning new things about them, or it's like I never knew this about this person. Like it hits different because you learn new things about them. I should say you just learning it in different ways. I'll put it like that. So, oh boy, shenanigans and tomfoolery is sure to ensue. Kevin got his refund check. He says, "Bro, I don't even know. Nope, taking that comment. I ain't even. I'm not. I don't even know why I put that comment on the screen. Cause see, Tevin saying he was doing what? This nigga about to try to make some kind of absurd joke about something we talking about. Nope. I'm not doing it. I'm not falling for it. Not right now. But nah, man, like it's so much. It's so cool to see, and like one of the things right now for me with basketball is just seeing how the game is evolving and seeing how now we're seeing big men that step outside and shoot, and we're seeing guards and wing players develop post games. And I love this shit. Like, as just a person who just loves the game and loves to see the game played, like, whatever way you want to play. If you want to play it old school, I love that too. If you want to play it new school, run up and down the court, shoot, I love that too. Like, I'm not about to knock nobody for what they're doing and how they play the game or how they enjoy the game or whatever, how they consume it. I'm not about to knock that. Now, what I will knock is bad basketball. If you just playing shitty basketball and you fucking up and doing stupid, like, no, I don't like that.
Always. Like that Jalen Green comment from earlier. That shit had me weak because when I think about it, I'm like, bro really has been kind of like up and down in a sense for like the last like couple years, like 2 years, right? And then all of a sudden, Drea say she pregnant and bro been balling the fuck out. No, I will say he has been playing really good this season prior to that too. I ain't gonna like just act like it just, but I think for a lot of people, they're now paying attention because of what's been in the media and in the light. So it do kind of make it funny for some people where it's like, we ain't heard your name, and now all of a sudden, like you putting up numbers, you out here hooping, you dunking on niggas, you doing trick shots, and it's funny as hell though, for real.
Bruh, let me tell you, I kid you not, one of my homeboys, I guess Dre, my other homeboy Dre that be driving trucks, he must be working or something. That's why he not in the chat. But me and him was talking about it on Twitter, I think, earlier. And I was just like, bro, it's a combination of things like the baby and all of that shit. I said, but also we got to think about it like this. Look at the change in the coaching staff that he had previously to what he has now.
Yeah, changing the team. Look at the team he got now compared to what they had last year.
You got veterans around you now that have been there and done that.
That have championships.
Right. These niggas know what it takes to win in this league or have been there or whatever it is. But it's like you have solid vets who are there to help you right now that can help you move forward and take that next step. And then you have a coaching staff that's going to hold you accountable, that's not going to take no shit from you. So they're not going to let you just get away and do whatever the fuck you want to do on the court. No, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to set standards, and they're going to hold you to that shit.
Yep.
And it's like, I think it's a combination of him getting a good locker room environment around him, and then them changing the culture with that coaching staff and what they expect from them and everything. That light bulb went off. And to me, that's the biggest thing that I see with Jalen Green is that light bulb finally went off. We can't point to one thing or the other and say, is this or is that? I'll just say whatever the combination of things that had that light bulb go off and got him playing like he's been playing, especially roughly the last 2 weeks or so of this season, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Sometimes it takes you like having some shaking up life experiences and some different things to just kind of drive that point home of like, hey, you need to do better and do more than what you're doing. You're wasting your potential. And so whatever caused it, great. I'm here for it because he desperately needed it.
Nah, he
Um,
did. Because he's a great talent. Like
oh, big time.
he's a
Big
great
time.
guard. I think on that team, I love that Houston team. Even prior to them getting like Van Vliet this offseason. Like he added to what they already had that I liked. I
Mhm.
think they big men are finally coming into where they need to be. Is it Sanguine? I can never say it. Sanguine.
Sengun.
Sengun. Okay.
Yeah.
I like him. I like
Yeah.
his game. And like I said, they're finally all coming into who they need to be. It's gonna be tough because they're in the West.
Yes.
The West is stacked. But I look at them like an OKC team that you keep them together, you add little pieces, they keep playing tough. I give it 2 to 3 seasons before they there. They in the fight. Look at Sacramento. Like, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So like you give it time, you make the correct trades, get the right people in, free agents.
Mhm.
They're right back. They got the coaching staff now.
Exactly.
They got the
Exactly.
staff now. It's just getting the personnel.
And at one
And
point, man, they
they're
were
there.
way out of it. And like right now, they're 2.5 games behind the Warriors out of that 10th spot for that last playing spot in the West. So to see them come from where they were, I think at one point earlier in the season, they were like in the 5th, 6th spot to fall all the way back and then to fight their way and get kind of climb back into that picture. Like it really speaks to like the tenacity of that team. They won 6 in a row and they're 8-2 in their last 10. So that just kind of goes to show you like they have one of the better records in the whole league in their last 10 games. There's no team in their last 10. They're tied for the best record in their last 10 games in the whole league. Like there's, I want to say 3 or 4 other teams that have won 8 out of their last 10, and the Rockets are one of them. So to go from where they were to where they are now and take that big of a step forward after they took such a huge couple of steps backward is mind blowing. And I just, the only thing I'll attribute it to is just Ime Udoka and his staff getting through to that young core and getting those guys to buy in and believe in what they want done, and everybody just to fall in line. And then that's what we're seeing right now with that young Rockets team.
And it's crazy because Ime is such a dope coach, and you know what happened in Boston overshadowed the coach that he was in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to be able to get another chance, but with a young team, and really show how he is as a coach and who he is as a coach, to take this team from, you know, where they were to bigger, it only adds to his allure.
And the West is so deep. Like you have teams like the Rockets, for example, are basically in the 11th spot in the West, right? They're 33-35, like flirting with 500. You look at the East, and if the Rockets were in the East, the Rockets would be the 10th seed clearly and be like a half a game behind the Bulls for the 9th seed. You look at the West, the first, I'll say between 1 and 6, you know, that cutoff for the play-in. Between 1 and 6, they're separated by 8 games. In the East, between Boston and Milwaukee, who's in second place, they're separated by 11 games. The Celtics are by far and away the best team in the league record-wise this year. But I really think that team has their core together. They've got their superstars and they've got their role players, their bench. Like they are just, the Celtics are probably one of the most complete teams in the league on both sides of the ball because they have guys that will lock you down on the perimeter, that will make you change your shot on the defensive end, and they can score from anywhere and everywhere on the offensive end. from any position at that.
And somehow Miami is going to knock them out again. I don't know how. Somehow Miami in game 7 is going to send them home again.
I don't know, bro.
Happens every year. I don't know. Miami ain't got the same team they had, so.
Because I'm looking at the way this East is looking, and remember we used to say
playoff time is different though, because you got to beat me 7 games and not 1.
Exactly.
You got to at least. No, I'm sorry. You have to beat me 4 times.
Right. You got to win. You got to win a 7-game series. Basically, is what you were saying.
Yeah. Like, and I think in a 7-game series against Boston, I like Milwaukee and Philly. If they would had either one of them in whatever round.
Yeah.
I like both of them. I like both of them in a 7-game against Boston. They're really the only ones out of the East that I like against Boston. I don't think New York can do it. I don't think Indiana's built to do it yet. Toronto's not. Who else? That's really it. Everybody else is like just there. But Orlando's not there yet. I don't believe in Miami fully. I think they traded too much away. But I think in a 7-game, Philly or Milwaukee can get Boston up out of here in 7. It'll take 7. It's not going to be like a 4-1 or it's definitely going to be a 4-3. But in 7 games, I got them getting them up out of here.
Yeah, I feel as though like this playoffs is going to be very interesting from the standpoint of, like we talked about, there's so many teams up and down the playoff lineup in the West, especially at the back end. You just look at the teams in the play-in in the West: Dallas, Phoenix, LA, the Lakers, and the Warriors. All 4 of those teams have guys on those teams that have won before. All 4 of those teams have guys that are literally legit Hall of Famers. All 4 of those teams could put something together and go on a run, and nobody would really be surprised. Like, hey, this team came out of the West from the play-in slot. Nobody would be surprised. And if you are, it's only because you're looking at it because of their records. You have to look at who's on that team and what have those guys accomplished before. Now, when you look at the East, the play-in teams are as of right now, the play-in teams are Indiana, Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta. Only one of those teams that kind of remotely puts a little fit. Well, I'll say Indiana and Miami because Miami's been there before. And Indiana has shown that they're one of the better teams in the East this year. But Chicago and Atlanta, not scared at all. I look at the 5th seed in the East with Orlando, and as good as those guys are, as young as they are, they're not battle-tested at all.
Nah, that's how I feel about, and we talked about this, that's how I feel about OKC and Sacramento. LeBron said this on the podcast. On him and JJ joint, he was saying playoff time that a lot of these young teams are playing, and it was crazy because we have said this. A lot of these young teams are playing amazing basketball right now, but when the game is on the line in crunch time in playoff basketball, they've never been in that position. They've never been there. It's either they're gonna fold or they're going to rise to the occasion. Normally, from what we've seen, veteran teams have better chances. Every once in a while, you get that young Cinderella team, even in the NBA. No different than, NCAA basketball, where you get that random Cinderella team every year that, shocks the world, knocks the number 1 off, and then just goes on a mean run into like the Elite 8 at least. Sometimes the Final 4. You never know, but I don't see that this year with the NBA. We could, especially in the West, because I feel it with OKC more than Sacramento. I think that OKC team has been together long enough. They got the correct young pieces that are playing together and that are clicking at an all-time high. I'll say that. I ain't even gonna say right time. At an all-time high, because they've been clicking all season so far. Like slips here or there, which is given. It in any sport, you can lose on any given night. So
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where like, bruh, like I'm just I wish the playoffs started like tomorrow because I can't wait to see how it all plays out in like these playing games. Even though we're not thinking about it or looking at it in that way in the East, I still think they may be worth watching and keeping an eye on because as of right now, in the playing games in the East, we would get Indiana and I believe Atlanta, the 7-10. And then you would get the 8-9 matchup, I believe, with Miami and Chicago or something like that. So
tough games. Still could be tough games.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a gimme by no means, but it's still like,
Especially that Orlando, Indiana.
oh man, bruh, like, bruh, this is just gonna be so good to watch in the playoffs. Like,
Few more. We got about 3 weeks left, just about. So this
yeah,
stretch,
because
this
teams
3 week
got
stretch is
about
gonna be amazing.
it's around 15 or so games left in the season, roughly, with everybody. Some teams have like 14, some teams have 17. It's somewhere around there. But man, it's just, oh, bro, this is gonna be so good. And like what I think the best first round matchups will get in the West after the playing games, because like I said, like we talked about, you'll see some of those teams that were in the play-in with these future Hall of Famers and future all-time greats playing one of the top seeded teams in the West. Excuse me, can they knock them off? Can they make it a series? That's going to be the story. And then you look in the East, and it's like, okay, what do we get in the first round that we may be really interested in? We'll get like a New York Orlando matchup. We'll probably get a Cleveland Philly matchup. And then you get the top two teams against playing teams that they should, handily beat. But it's going to be interesting in the NBA just watching how all this stuff develops and plays out. And we're getting kind of that crossover where we're seeing guys like the LeBrons and the Chris Pauls and the KDs and the Stephs, and those guys, they're giving way to the Jason Tatums and the Giannis's and the Paulo Bancheros and the Joel Embiids and whatnot. And there's this changing of the guard that we're basically seeing. And honestly, I would love nothing more than to see that play out in the playoffs, the way we used to see it back in like the 80s and 90s, when you would see the transition from Magic and Michael to like the Piston Bad Boys and Michael Jordan and whatnot. And you saw that transition from the Bulls and everything in the 90s, and then you saw like the Kobe and Shaq Lakers come on in the early 2000s and whatnot. And then you saw things just progress and move on in the game, and you saw that torch being passed from generation to generation. And it's almost as if watching the way the playoffs are playing out and the season is playing out and what teams are at the top, what teams are kind of falling back, it's almost as if we're seeing that exact same thing play out, but it's in the regular season as opposed to being played out in the playoffs. So it's pretty interesting to watch that and how all that's going in the NBA right now. Just looking at everything else before we wrap up this NBA stuff, who do you see as your leading MVP candidate? Just before because I just want to bring it up and just see kind of where you at with it. Who do you see as your leading MVP candidate so far?
It's a tough one. I don't know. I'm thinking. I really feel like it's Shea. It's hard. It's hard not. I don't know. Like a lot of the top guys are still top, but Shea has been lights out all season. Shea
Bruh.
is. I ain't saying Shea. Shea's not clear,
Mm-hmm.
but Shea has an amazing case.
I believe so too, man.
And that's
I
Shea.
and
That's Shea Gilgis Alexander. For those who
yeah,
don't
and
know.
you know, I'm not opposed to that at all. Because my thing is like the whole narrative of just running with Giannis or Joker just cause like I don't believe that. Like I would give it to SGA before I give it to anybody. Because the young bull got his OKC team, in first place in the Western Conference for quite a bit of time now. And I want to say he's averaging what 32 a game right now. Hold on, I'm about to pull it up right now. 31, right at 31 a game and 6 assists, 2 steals. So you can't just say, "Oh, he's just filling it up. He's just a shooter on a chucker on a bad team." No, he ain't a chucker on a bad team because he's the best player on the best team in one of the deepest conferences, in the deepest conference. If we're looking at the two of them, so you can't just say, he just did. He just no." And that team is young as fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
and to
we're
take
not
them
talking.
from, they've had a gradual rise, and you look at where they were last year to where they are now, being top in the West. Look at what he's averaging this year. Look at
Mm-hmm,
his productivity. Look how everybody else's numbers have went up and have gotten better. I
mm-hmm.
like I said, I ain't saying it's clear, but he has a great case for winning MVP. Outside of him, like you said, Joker for sure. I think Embiid was on his way into the injury. Um, Giannis, Dame, Jason Tatum, like they're all in the discussions.
Mm-hmm.
The normals.
Right.
I just Shea's name sticks out because I look at what he's been doing all season, and I'm looking at how OKC has been playing all season. I'm looking at OKC with him, without him, and yeah, it's tough not to say Shea.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one because I mean, the only other person I could say I would want to give it to would be Luca, or
Luca has an amazing case also.
maybe oh gosh, you just mentioned their name and I forgot it, but it would be somebody like Luca, maybe Hallie in Indiana. What he's been doing this year has had a good season. Halliburton.
How did I forget about Halliburton? Hallie has been
Um,
going crazy.
I'm trying to think of who else. Like, I'm just trying to think of guys outside of the normal guys that you just always typically name because they're always in that MVP discussion. The last few years or whatever. Like, I just really feel like there's just a lot of good basketball being played, and there's a lot of a changing of a guard. And if you're not on board with it right now, then man, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, you just really need to like really get into it and really focus on it and just kind of watch some of these games and get to know some of these players and their style of play and whatnot. And I promise you, it's a lot more fun than what you think it is. And there's so many different people that try to like go with these false what I call headline narratives because all they do is read a headline or a tweet and then they formulate a whole theory and opinion about something that they never even intended to watch, excuse me, in the first place. But just looking in to everything else that we have going on, looking back at some of these contracts and whatnot that were given out in the NFL, these first weeks of free agency
Ooh.
and whatnot, Here he go. I already knew he was
Hey
about
man,
to
they've been. Let me tell
say
y'all something, man. Jermaine and Jeff been on me about a week now, talking about some drug money, mob money.
Hey.
I don't know how Jeffrey does it. Let's keep it real. I really don't. Even as an Eagles fan, for like, let's be real, for the last like 4 years, I'd say, maybe 5, Jeffrey has been pulling off some shit that everybody be like, fucking get this nigga for like a 7th round. Like he's been getting away with like getting trades for a 6th round, 7th round. He's been like bringing players in like that Saquon. Now, I think that was a mutual thing also. I think once Saquon knew he wasn't staying in New York, I think Saquon wanted to go to a contender. Also, I think with his family, with him being in New York so long, he may not have wanted to move his family. And with going to Philly, he actually doesn't have to move his family. He can, that commute isn't that hard. It's not that far. Where he can, be in and out as he needs to. I love it though. I think so far, I'm trying to think. I don't want to say we won free agency. It's hard not to say we did though. When I'm looking at that Saquon pickup alone, the Derrick Henry to Ravens one, which we all knew was eventually going to happen one way or another. Like I don't think we all said Dallas was never in the discussion. Most of us said Dallas was never in the discussion. Just because not just the fact that they don't have the cap space, but Jerry don't like to pay nobody. And with Derrick Henry, that's the biggest piece. Like Jerry don't like to pay nobody. Like Dak getting that money was surprising. Ezekiel getting the money at the time was still surprising because Jerry don't like to pay nobody. He cheap.
But here's the thing. I'm not going to say Jerry cheap. I'll put it to you like this. Jerry is very cautious with extending guys he's not 100% sure about. Even if Jerry is 80, 75, 80% sure about you, he's still hesitant. And the way I like kind of translated and put it in my brain is that Jerry, he liked Dak, he liked Zeke, he liked all these guys. He gave them extensions more or less because it was like, what's my alternative? Right? Do I give this guy this extension and live with it? Or can I replace him with somebody who can do better? Well, if I can't replace him with somebody who can do better, I almost have to give him this extension. And I think that that's the place where Jerry was involved in with giving Dak the money then and also about to give Dak the money again. I think that's where he was at with Zeke. It was like, okay, I got this guy. Like, he's a huge part of my offense. I got to keep him. I got to pay him. Whereas with Dak, it's like, how can I replace this guy? I really can't replace him with something equal to, at least equal to, if not better.
Not yet.
So let me go ahead and just pay him and live with it. And that's why you see like shorter term deals getting done also in the NFL. Like you don't see those 7, 8, 9 year deals or whatever. You see 2, 3, 4, 5 year deals.
It's barely because 5. It's supposed to be 2, 3, 3 at the most. A lot of ones.
4 is like 4 and 5 is like long term deals now.
Yeah, that. It's really a lot of 1 years, 1 and 2.
It's a lot of 1, 2. And then here's
Mike Evans. What Mike Evans signed for 2.
2.
Yeah, like it's mostly in. Even when you look at, we got Saquon for 3. It won't big. Like I mean, the numbers is, but they figure out how to work the numbers in. And that's where you come in because you're more of the numbers guy. But
exactly, and this is what I was just getting ready to say. Like on NFL contracts, there's only one fully guaranteed contract in the league right now, and that's Deshaun Watson. The Browns were stupid as fuck for doing it. The rest of the
Deshaun was very smart.
His agent and Deshaun, they were more. If you could get it, more power to you.
Geniuses.
But I'm gonna tell you why everybody was pissed off at the Browns is because they thought that it would set a new precedent and that the other guys that were coming up for deals were gonna want similar deals. When you
And
look at
Deshaun
Joe
and
Burrow,
Lamar
Justin
tried it.
Herbert, yeah, Lamar and those guys, none of them got fully guaranteed deals. They all got great deals.
Yeah, they were close. They got close.
Set the bar a little bit higher for the next guy, which is great, and which is how the system is intended to work, the way it's structured. But this is why everybody was so pissed off with Cleveland is because they thought that it would set a new standard.
And they fucked themselves.
Exactly. And
stuck.
now that everyone else sees like this ain't it, this ain't the way to go, like, we can do something different and still do something good and agreeable for the team and the player, then now it's like, oh, okay, well, this is how things are going to keep going from now on. That's just an outlier. That's an exception, not the rule. But and some of the things I was kind of surprised about was the Chargers. Some people were surprised that the Chargers decided to walk away from Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
And Austin Eckler.
I was not. They kept Bosa and they kept Khalil Mack. Thing is when you look at skill position players and whatnot, and you look at different positions, you can find a guy to catch the ball. You can find a guy to run the ball. You can even scheme some of that to make it work. You cannot scheme pass rush moves. You cannot scheme beating a block. You cannot scheme like knowing how to put pressure on the quarterback. You cannot scheme setting the edge. You cannot scheme stopping that outside zone run. You can't scheme that shit. You can try, but when you have a guy that can come off the edge and do all of that naturally without having to scheme it up or work it up or whatever, you keep those guys. And so I wasn't surprised that Mac agreed to a restructure. Bosa agreed to a restructure because Mac is older and he hasn't been as productive. Bosa is kind of starting to get up there in age, and he's coming off another season-ending injury. So you can see why those guys would have been like, okay, yeah, I'll restructure.
And they from what I saw, they both garnered some attention, as far as like trade talks. It wasn't like it was very cold. I just think they looked at the scope, looked at what the money could be going elsewhere, and it was like, because I thought Bosa honestly was going to get traded to the 49ers with his brother. Like I definitely saw that coming, which would have been a good place for him, especially with them losing Chase Young, putting him on one side and his brother on the other. I definitely understand that. But I think he likes when you look at the Chargers, you look at offensively what they did this offseason so far, prior to the draft. When you look at the coaching staff coming in, sometimes it's like this makes more sense. This looks a little sexier in a sense than going to the 49ers with a lot of we don't know, or what's everything is kind of up in the air. New defensive coordinator again. A coach who can't coach, don't know who your quarterbacks really is, because it's fucking Brock Purdy. Like, I don't give a damn about him making it to the Super Bowl or not. It's fucking Brock Purdy. Like,
come on.
I still don't believe it, bro. The same way you feel about my man Dobbs, that's how I feel about fucking Brock Purdy.
But bro, Brock Purdy has accomplished more than Dobbs has.
And I'd pick Dobbs before Brock Purdy.
Get the fuck out of here.
Maybe I do need to get the fuck out of here. Maybe I do. John, we got to get out of here.
Daddy.
We need to leave.
No.
Okay, John said no. John said no. So there it is.
But this is why. The reason why I say that is because, like, you got to look at Purdy, and you got to look at what he was able to accomplish, not just one season, but 2 seasons in a row. he was able to lead his team to the playoffs and do very, very, very well for himself. And he put up respectable numbers that put him on par with the other quarterbacks in the league. And only thing I'm gonna keep telling people is like, look, he did it one time, okay, cool. He did it again to prove y'all wrong. Now, if he does anything and comes completely anywhere close to what he did the last 2 years, this coming year, it's like, what else is it gonna take?
I give him his respect. He does it. If I see the numbers and they look similar, or he at least gets close to getting back to the NFC Championship or Super Bowl this year, he's got my respect. I also feel the same about my team. I also look at what we've been doing off-season wise, and I feel like this is another season that Super Bowl of us. That if you don't make it to the Super Bowl and win it, I feel like adding Saquon is saying we ready to win. Like going out getting Saquon with what we already got on offense, with adding what was the other receiver we picked up?
Let me take a look and see if I can find it right quick. But this is the thing: when the Eagles added Saquon, that to me told me it was like they're really trying to unlock. They're trying to unlock something else in this offense, right? And I just feel like that offense, bringing back what's his name, the offensive lineman, is re-signing Landon Dickerson.
Oh yeah. Big.
Being able to bring back Brandon Graham for one more year. You know what I'm saying? And when they brought back CJ, and then also bringing in Zach Bond, getting rid of Derek Barnett last year, and not wanting to bring back Hassan Reddick and whatnot. When I saw them pick up Zach Bond, I was like, they're going to use Zach Bond the way he's supposed to be, as an edge rusher coming off that outside, coming in hot. And that's the way
Devontae Parker.
That's who it was.
Added Devontae Parker for the 3 because they didn't bring back Julio. They didn't re-sign Zacchaeus as of yet. So bringing in Devontae at the number 3, adding Matt Hennessy on that O-line, especially with losing,
that's the other one I forgot about.
Especially with losing Kelsey. I feel like those moves. Yep, and Devin White at linebacker. Kenny Pickett at backup. I'm probably one of the only people that's not mad at Pickett for a backup. Pickett wasn't bad. Pickett wasn't bad at all.
He really wasn't, and he gives you something a little bit different from what Jalen gives you. He's going to give you more of the traditional style pocket passer type of quarterback who's not really going to play too far off schedule.
And I'm cool with like those. They made the correct moves, like you said, re-signing Landon Dickerson.
Yes.
I'm trying to think who left that was key. I feel like
re-signing Jake Elliott to a 4-year extension was another underrated move.
Yep. I feel like they should have.
I'm trying to think of what other
Kevin Byard.
Okay. Now there was
I'm not mad at the DeAndre Swift thing because we went out and got Saquon, which was a major upgrade. But look at what DeAndre did, barely getting the ball. Still was a 1,000-yard rusher without even touching the ball as much as he should have. So think about when Kellen Moore wanted Saquon. That was who he wanted them to go out and get. So that tells me right there, Saquon's going to be featured in that offense a lot. I feel like it's got to be a even offense just because you still got AJ, you still got Devontae. Adams. So it's like you still got to be able to spread the ball around. Now you bring in Devontae Parker. Um, I like that for third back. I mean third wide receiver though. So it like I said again, this is another one of those Super Bowl or bust type of seasons to me. I think we have as of right now. I think we're the clear NFC East winner as of right now. Dallas not having a clear running back is going to hurt them. When you put the ball in Dak's hand too much, and there's no running game for him to fall back on, it hurts him a lot. It hurts him a lot. Them losing Tony Pollard and not being able to sign Derrick Henry, I believe them letting Tony Pollard walk was because somewhere in that office, they knew they had Derrick Henry.
Well, no,
then,
I've been telling y'all the Cowboys are so cash strapped that they're just trying to set themselves up for the future. It's nothing about Jerry being cheap. It's nothing about them thinking about Derrick. Because here's the thing with the whole Derrick Henry Dallas thing. The reason why it got started is because he works out there. That's where his trainer is. So when people thought that he actually bought a house there this offseason, everybody's thinking him and Dak share the same agent. He just bought a house there. He's always in Dallas. He must be going to Dallas. Oh, that's just where his trainer is. Him and Dak just happen to share an agent. The Cowboys don't have a fucking money because they're trying to re-sign Dak. They're trying to pay CD Lamb, and they got to pay Micah Parsons.
Trayvon Diggs.
And Trayvon Diggs. So
who also has a baby on the way by no man, we ain't gonna talk about that. I ain't gonna get into that drama.
By future Bow Wow baby mama.
Crazy. Shout out to Joy. Fine ass. Shout out to Joy, boy.
So
she winning.
I keep trying to tell people like you can't focus on right now. You have to also keep an eye on next year, 2 years, and 3 years from now as well when you're looking at the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to go out and pay this guy this kind of money for the next year, 2 years, and then you're cash strapped next year? Do you want to go out and like or re-sign some of your guys and try to free up some of this cap space in the next couple of years or whatever because you got these guys, they've been balling and you want to bring them back? You know, like there's only going to be so much money that you can fit under the cap, and there's only going to be so many guys that you can either sign as free agents or re-sign of your own team.
Yep.
That you have to plan for that shit.
And that's why in today's NFL, you see so many guys moving around so much. It's just because this team can't pay them, but this team can. Some guys are going to give you that hometown discount. They're going to give you that hometown loyalty, and they're going to stay. But the majority are going to. And I always say it depends on how close to Super Bowl are we.
Right.
Were we knocking on the door?
Right.
I can come back if we're knocking on the door. If we were at least in the Super Bowl and we've been consistently there and we're just not getting over the hump, it's like, I'm going to stay because we're there. It's not like we're regressing. We're there consistently. We just ain't figured out how to kick the door open to win it. A team like Dallas is barely, I ain't going to say barely making the playoffs, but not winning in the playoffs. And if they are, it's just first round and done. They win the first round and then they out. So it's like, do I give you a hometown discount just to keep getting bounced in the first round?
Yeah, it's one of those things, honestly, where I see what teams are doing and I see what they're trying to accomplish. And it's another reason why a team like the Chiefs were able to hand out $150-something million contract with like 95 of that guaranteed to Chris Jones. But then franchise and then trade their all-pro corner, L'Jarius Sneed, because it's like, okay, we restructured Pat Mahomes and freed up some cap space in order to sign these guys to give him some more weapons and to retain Chris Jones. But that don't mean we can keep L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
Because they also had let me pull it up right quick. What's his name was actually an all-pro this year, the other corner, McDuffie.
Yeah.
I believe it was Trent McDuffie who was an all-pro this year. So you look at guys like that, and it's like, wow, like this kid came in second year in the league, I believe, and was like a big time player for your team. So what are we really talking about? Like, is it really that bad that we're giving up L'Jarius Sneed? No, probably not, because we got another first round pick that we'll probably spend on a corner, later on in the first round, and we'll get somebody else and just plug and play, and we'll make sure we brought back our defensive linemen to make sure that we keep a pass rush going so that these guys on the back end don't have to cover that damn long. And it's a shell game. You got to rob Peter to pay Paul when you that close up on the cap and you're that close to winning a championship. Sometimes you got to kick the can down the road and mortgage your future and reshuffle some contracts and push some money out in the future years to have a shitty cap year 1 year or 2 years in order to say, hey, I'm freeing up money now to try to re-sign and sign these guys now in order to make sure we keep that window open. So a lot of the times I just really think that people don't really know like all what it takes in order to get involved in the building of a roster and then also the maintaining of a roster when it comes to the NFL. Because I'm not going to say it's easy to build a roster. You can build a good roster, but what happens when guys start coming up for contracts and whatnot? Now, who do you pay? Who do you
turn the salary cap off? This ain't Madden.
Exactly. So you have to look at that kind of stuff, and you can't keep everybody. You can't bring in everybody either. So you have to be judicious and you have to be smart about how you go about doing that. But it's going to be really interesting to come up in the draft, and I think that there could be some movement here and there. We already saw the Minnesota Vikings trade with the Texans to get another first round pick, and the Texans moved back and picked up a second round pick this year and next year. So there's, and then you got people like Dre. I only like playing Madden and 2K with the salary cap off. See, this is exactly why I can't take your real life sport. Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do that? Because they got salary caps, Dre.
I ain't gonna lie, I do like playing Madden with the salary cap off. 2K a little. 2K, I work within the salary cap on 2K. But Madden, nah, I need it all. Let me sign everybody. I need the juggernaut.
Yeah. And it's like
MLB The Show, I'll turn that bitch off.
I love playing with it.
It's harder in baseball
because it's so much more realistic. It's like,
nah, baseball is harder for me. I'll be on the show. I tried to do it on the show, and I can sign everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's just keeping them. Like you said, it's once them contracts come up, now it's like, damn, I gotta let this nigga go. I gotta let this. Now we suck. Nah, bruh, I can't.
Like, I promise. Like, it'd be like I like to challenge myself, right? So when we play with it on like that, I love the challenge of trying to figure out how I'm gonna construct this team and whatnot. And I legit be looking at guys and I'm like, man, if I can't get your overall up to X, Y, and Z, I ain't re-signing you. I'm gonna end up trading you for something else. Or like,
for sure.
There's been times where I'll draft two guys at a position and I'm like, okay, I only need one of y'all, so I'm gonna trade the other one. Stuff like that. But it's like when you play with that salary cap and stuff on and you try to keep it as realistic as possible, it kind of gives you a little more insight into what these GMs and these front offices and coaches and whatnot deal with, because it's like, who do I play? Who do I start? Who do I cut? Who do I resign? Who do extend? Blah blah blah. And it's like, what do I do with this, and that? And you just end up like you start to get a better appreciation for it. Not just that, but also talking with a good buddy of mine, he helped me to look at the contracts and stuff. And with NFL contracts where the guaranteed money lies, so where a team can get out of it without having no cap hit or very little cap hit or whatever. Just I mean, just any kind of little things like that that'll help you better understand the game and why teams may do some of the stuff they do. Is why I like to, even when I'm playing a video game, I try to play it as realistic as possible because I want to learn as much as I can about the game anytime I can.
I think
So that
NASCAR. I think NASCAR is like one of the only games I like go for the realistic when it comes to that. Like I need to like I race the car as if I'm on the track for real. So I definitely understand what you're saying when it comes to that. FIFA too.
yeah.
FIFA, I do the same thing. I work within. It's just some would Madden and NBA 2K in the show. I'm just like with baseball. Like I said, nah. I need the Yankees to be a juggernaut. A juggernaut. I need it all.
The hell, you got WNBA players on 2K, Drake?
Yeah, because on 2K you can. They got the WNBA in there also now.
Oh shit, I keep forgetting about that,
Yeah,
man. I keep forgetting about that, bro. That's why I'm like, what is he talking about? But okay, bet that's understandable. Understandable. But yeah, like it's been a wild ride, man, in the NFL, and like I really think Minnesota is positioning themselves to move up above 11.
I was about
But
to say who do you outside of the top three? Because that's obvious.
Arizona at 4,
Think they're gonna move out.
I could definitely see it.
I can see that because the top three are pretty much picking quarterbacks. The
Definitely.
Bears, Washington, and New England are for sure going quarterback. New England's in that place where not New England. Arizona's in that place where it's do we take Marvin Harrison or do we trade out? Because after the three quarterbacks that are going like 1, 2, 3, which is looking like Daniels, May, and Williams. May is kind of that one that's iffy. I think May goes to either Washington or New England, of course. I think May is the iffy one. Daniels definitely is a top 3, and so is Williams.
Okay.
From what I've seen,
because the top three could probably end up taking quarterbacks, especially because the Patriots didn't get Baker Mayfield like they were rumored to be in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at 4 and 5, Arizona, they're solid on Kyler Murray. Matter of fact, they just gave him another 30-something million guaranteed for this year as a roster bonus the other day. And you look at Justin Herbert with the Chargers, who just signed his extension to his rookie deal, I want to say last offseason, if I'm not mistaken.
I can see both of them moving out of the top 5 into like that 11 to 20. Because one, you're not paying top 5 money, and you can still get a player that you want, in there. But I also could see, like you said, somebody else moving into 4 and Marvin Harrison going to the Chargers. Because they did just get rid of 2 receivers, 2 key receivers, and a running back. Even though they replaced the running back, now I got to replace these receivers. It makes Jay going to the Chargers with Justin Herbert perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if Arizona
Jay,
doesn't take him at 4, if they stay in that spot and they don't trade out of that spot, I definitely see them trying to take him at 4. I
think either one.
I don't see another player that I could see Arizona taking that high at 4.
No.
If they're not going to trade out of it.
I think Brock Bowers is a top 15, but I don't see anybody taking the tight end in that top 10. I mean, more shocking things could happen. I can see Arizona taking him. But I think they like their tight end too.
First team I could see maybe taking him would be maybe Chicago at 9.
Nah, I think they're set at tight end with
Oh, that's right, Cole Kmet. That's right.
yeah.
Shit.
That's what I'm like maybe in the 15, but I don't
Denver
think
at
he
12, maybe. I don't know.
with
I just
the quarterback issues they got, they may reach for a quarterback at 12. They may wait till next year. They may feel like this year is just a tank year and
I put it to you like this:
let's go get our guy next year.
whoever gets him is going to get a steal because dude is a baller. And
That's how I feel with Atlanta with Kyle Pitts. I always felt like when Atlanta got Kyle Pitts, everybody that passed up on Kyle Pitts was going to pay for it. I think this year shows it. I think he finally has a quarterback. He hasn't had a quarterback since he's been in Atlanta. Let's keep it real.
Yes.
And I think with having Kirk Cousins, that's the one thing Cousins does. Cousins can get you the ball. You may not be, a game changer, but he's a game manager and he gets the ball to the people that need to get the ball. Kyle Pitts is probably going to have the best season he's had since he's been in the NFL. Him and Drake London. And Drake London ain't even been there that long. This is what, his third year we're going in? I think this year was his second.
I believe so.
Yeah, so
right now, I can't even remember. But one thing that I do know is it's going to be interesting to see how these teams draft compared to fan reaction, because a lot of the time, and the same thing is like free agency. It's like I keep telling people, don't listen to what the media says your team needs or should do, because there's nobody that's in the brain trust of that team that has working knowledge of what they're doing or what they want to do, that they're going to tell that to anybody in the media to give you a qualified answer. It just does not happen.
Because the way you think your team needs to go, they look at players so different.
Big
As
time.
an Eagle fan, we should have had DK Metcalf. We should have had Jettas. We passed up on Jettas. We passed up on DK. There's a couple other receivers we passed up on that I'm like, yo.
I'm gonna put it to you like this.
I didn't see us drafting Jalen. When we drafted Jalen, I was like, we got Wentz. Why are we drafting Jalen? My entire group chat was pissed because we were like, huh? But it panned out very, very well. You know what I mean? So a lot of times your team is going to go in a direction that you're not even looking at, but they're seeing something and seeing a direction differently than you would. And a lot of times that direction works. Look at Green Bay. Green Bay when it got love and everybody was like, huh? Like, why are you drafting a quarterback when you guys don't have anything? Like, you haven't drafted a skill player in, what was it? Like, at the time, it was like almost 10 years, right? Something like that, where they hadn't drafted a skill player
in the first round. First 2 rounds or something like that.
Yeah, and you went out and got another quarterback. And now we're looking back at it like, okay, they were setting themselves up because they saw the future and saw what was coming with Aaron leaving. So let's go get the guy we like now.
Bro, I put it to you like this. You want to know how bad it is to miss out on something or somebody or something like that? The year was 2018. NFL draft. The Saints make a huge trade to move up with the Green Bay Packers, right? Swap this year's first, next year's first, couple other picks, right? You see this big move up the draft board. You know Drew Brees is getting older. You thinking, hey, this is Lamar Jackson. Gotta be Lamar Jackson. Who else gives up 2 first-round picks and other future picks for anything else but a quarterback to move up, right? Bruh, the Saints drafted Marcus fucking Davenport with that pick. Marcus Davenport is now 27 years old, been in the league 6 years, and just signed with his third team. So when you talk about missing out on players, I don't even want to hear that shit. As a Saints fan, in the 90s, in consecutive drafts, we missed out on Steve McNair, Eddie George, Randy Moss. Consecutive drafts. So when you talk about feeling somebody's pain about missing out on something or somebody from a fan standpoint, been there, done that, got the t-shirt and the scars to prove it. So it's been some crazy shit. We've seen a lot of crazy shit. The NCAA tournament is starting tomorrow. The women's tournament gets started this weekend as well. And I'm gonna be honest with you. On the women's side, it's probably about, I say maybe 3 or 4 teams that's gonna win.
Yeah, it's that women's one is more top heavy as far as because they're like Notre Dame has a key injury.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, this first round, I think they can win it without Cordova, but
That I'm not worried about them in the first. It's that second round on when you get deeper into the tournament and the
but let's be
competition
honest,
is tougher.
South Carolina has the easiest road back to the 4.
But
Iowa has the way I look at it because LSU is a number 3 and they put LSU in Iowa's bracket.
right.
That's where it gets tough because now they're going to one of them is going to cancel. UCLA is on that side.
Wait, and
I
on
think
top of all of that, Louisville is also in that same bracket with Iowa and LSU. And I want to say the way it works out, Louisville might
Iowa
actually play LSU.
No, Iowa would play Louisville.
Okay.
And UCLA would play
LSU.
LSU. I
Okay.
had it in front of me, but I had moved
I didn't pull it up
it.
either. I was just trying to think about it off the top of my head. But like, I haven't done my bracket and our bracket challenge yet, and I know you're gonna get on me about it. But I'm gonna get it. I was supposed to do it today, and then I didn't. So I'm gonna probably do it either late tonight or early tomorrow before the games start. But so far most people are picking like about 25% of people are picking UConn, about 14% are picking UH, and then about 10 or so percent are picking Purdue on the men's side.
Mm-hmm.
On the women's
On the
side,
women's,
it's a lot
37.
less fluctuating. It's 37% for South Carolina, 28.5% for Iowa. In the
And then it
third place
drops.
team is UConn at 4.7%.
LSU at 4.5, Texas at 4.3, and USC at 3.6. So it's really everybody is really looking at South Carolina and Iowa like, all right, that's the matchup. That's the
Right,
comeback. But little do they
right,
know
right.
it's and I love the way I was watching Sunday when they were speaking with I cannot forget her name, but someone from the committee, and they were talking about how they picked I like when they do that because after that Florida State debacle, I like to hear how do we get to where we get to
Yes.
as far as like why you made it here, why they made it, but why are they seated here and not here? And the one thing that she said that was very similar to the to football was injuries. Like they were talking about Virginia Tech and they were talking about Notre Dame. And they were saying that because Virginia Tech's player who got injured earlier in the season, and we've seen Virginia Tech
Mhm,
play more games without that girl compared to Notre
mhm,
Dame, whose player got injured recently. So we haven't seen
mhm,
them play or have adversity or play through it without
mhm.
that player. Virginia Tech got seated higher. Um, so it was good to hear because again, after the whole thing with Florida State, where everybody was kind of upset, even though I
Yeah.
didn't care, but it was still good to hear and understand. Like, so the NCAA in general, kind of like with their committees, is the same across the board with all sports as far as like their criteria. Um, so I still that I it's so crazy that for Iowa to be the second number one, but have the hardest road to the championship compared to USC being the third and then UConn being the fourth, and it's like, or Texas, sorry, being the fourth, and them not even having that hard of it. Like Texas has a pretty nice road to the Final Four, to be honest.
Yeah.
You South Carolina, pretty easy road. But then I'm looking at Iowa, LSU, like their road, UCLA, Louisville, they have a tough road to get to the championship. And it's like by the time they get to the Final Four, they've already gotten beat up on by each other. It's like, it's crazy. Not saying they won't do it, because to be honest, Iowa's biggest problem is they don't play well against bigs. So if they make it to a team like LSU, LSU can get them up out of there
And
because
look,
they have the bigs, the Angel Reese,
this
who,
is one thing that I did notice, the way Iowa kind of combats that. Watching them play, they don't combat it. They combat it on offense by making those other bigs work. Like one thing that Caitlin Clark and those girls will do on the perimeter is that they'll drive and drop it off to one of their bigs down low.
drive and
In,
switch,
exactly.
moving in and out, like not
Exactly.
staying. The one thing I love is they don't stay in place, always
Right.
moving. It's
Right.
always, that's the one thing I try to teach my daughter. Like when I'm showing her the game,
Uh-huh.
like don't just stay. I've become that parent that I'm just like, don't listen to your coach, listen to me. I did it Saturday. It's like, don't listen to your coach, listen to me. Move. I need you to move.
Bruh.
Move. Go, go, go. Don't stand on the block. I need you to move. You see the guard coming down. I need you to. I love that because I always felt like as a player, if I'm just standing there waiting for the ball, the
Yeah.
defense is just going to collapse in on me.
Hell yeah.
But if
It's
I'm
like,
moving, I'm going to get it. I can
yeah,
get it on the run,
I'm
on the
not going
move.
to
And
allow you to focus in on me to try to take me out of the game. And I'm not going to make it easy on you to double team off of me either. So I'm going to make you keep an eye on me, and I'm going to make you move your feet, and I'm going to make you move around, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, we're not going to play that game. Like, I'm going to make you move around, and you're going to just have to deal with it. And it was one of those things that I kind of learned just through like, you know how sometimes you just look at stuff and you try to study stuff, and you just kind of like try to work through different things in the game, and you pick up on things. And that was one of the things that I know I learned and I picked up on, was that if I'm moving around and I'm constantly in motion doing this, I'm creating a problem for the defense. But if I sit still, it makes it way easier on them, even if the action is all the way on the other side of the court. If I'm just sitting still on this end of the court or whatever, or this side of the court, I'm still making it easier on them. So it's just trying to ingrain that in, these kids' heads, and letting them know, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is how you need to move, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love a team that communicates, not just on defense, but also on offense. Like, I love to watch a team communicate and instruct each other and point out things on both ends of the court, even in transition, you know? And to me, when you play that brand of basketball, it makes it that much more exciting to watch, not only as a spectator, it also makes it easier to coach as a coach. And it's just more fun to play as a player, to be honest with
it definitely is. And it's so crazy because even after looking at the men's bracket now, I'm still more excited to watch the women's tournament. Like I'm looking at the men's, and don't get me wrong, like the men's, and I got it right here. The men's bracket is good. Like I like the way they did it.
They made it pretty. I would say I don't see any like super stacked.
I think all the number ones should get to the Final Four. I think Houston has, if Duke can make it to the Elite Eight and they're playing Houston, I think Duke can make it tough. Yeah, that's from what I see. That looks like the toughest. On that side. Let me look. Houston got Longwood first. Shout out to James Madison and Longwood making the tournament. Also, shout out to Virginia. I love that. Both having dope records. James Madison at 31-3, Longwood at 21-13. Still a good record. They still made the tournament at 16, but James Madison making it as a 12th seed, 31-3, amazing. But yeah, Houston pretty much got an easy road back. Marquette is the number 2 at 25-9. Kentucky 23-9, a number 3, and then Duke 24-8 as a 4. And then that's what I missed up. Purdue was the other number 1 at the bottom, but that was in the other bracket. Yeah. So in their bracket, Houston can get back, but I think Houston has a little bit of a harder road to get back. Or get there. Sorry, not get back, but get there. Purdue, I think, has a pretty easy road. The way the Boilermakers have been playing all year, I don't see them not getting back to the Final Four. And on the other side, in the West, I think North Carolina has a pretty easy road. Arizona being in there in the West with them, Baylor, who's been playing really great, Alabama, who geared up and has been playing good all year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really have.
Let me see. Yeah, that might be where the tough comes in, is in that Elite 8. If Bama gets back there, they would see North Carolina, and I think that's going to be a very tough game for them. Or Sweet 16, sorry. No, Sweet 16. They can get there. I think Bama can be a very tough game for them. And then making it to the Elite 8, I got Arizona. Arizona Baylor is probably going to be that Sweet 16 matchup. That's going to be very, very tough on that men's side for the West. And looking,
that's one of the things that I was trying to look at earlier. I just kept looking at the different teams, and it's like, bro, there's even some first round matchups sometimes when I'm picking my bracket that I struggle with, because I'm like, man,
and
y'all can say what y'all want, but
this is why I do 2. And sometimes you got to do more than 2, because it's just like they're literally, you have to think about, like I said earlier, there's always a Cinderella team.
Yep.
I honestly do not know who that team is going to be this year. I'm looking at the 16s that made it. I'm looking at the 15s that made it. Like Wagner got in. Stetson is playing UConn. Stetson's 22-12. I'm looking at Wagner. They are. Oh, they don't even got their record on here. There's gonna be a 12-16 that's gonna shock everybody. I'm gonna be honest. I think Colgate might be that team.
Colgate?
I think Colgate could be that team upsetting Baylor. Even though, so it's very hard because a lot of these teams don't play anybody in a sense. Like, they have really great records, but they don't play anybody to have these great records. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, look at the South, and like I said about Longwood. Longwood is not Longwood. I'm sorry. James Madison at 31-3. That's an amazing record. It's probably, if I'm looking at the tournament, that's probably one of the best records in the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And it is. McNeese is 30-3. Like, McNeese is playing Gonzaga at that 12-5. They honestly could get Gonzaga up out of here. You got to remember, like, these, even though these teams don't play anybody, they play. So,
and the other thing too is just because the level of their competition isn't as good doesn't mean that those teams aren't that good. Like, they aren't like that nice.
Like, UConn's 31-3. So, and they were. So I'm looking at all of these teams like, man, a James Madison might be that Cinderella team. You know what I mean? I could see them getting Wisconsin. I actually have them beating Wisconsin in the first round, which is crazy. But it can be done. It so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be that this year's Cinderella team if there is one.
Yeah, I'm kind of
And I'm looking at the women's side,
man,
like I don't
I'm
know if
just
there is one.
I keep looking at these teams, man, and I'm gonna say either McNeese or James Madison. I like those two that you pointed out. Um, I'm trying to think if I thought of anyone else outside of the people that you named. There was maybe one other one. Let me take another look. Um, No, I pretty much agree with you on that one. It's going to be probably one of those two is the most likely, I'll say. Yeah, because I can't see another double digit seed anywhere that I feel just that comfortable about making some noise. Um, Honestly, if I was going to pick a one seed to get shocked in the first round, it would be Houston. And the main reason why I'm saying that is because UH does not play good on the road, henceforth a neutral, quote unquote, neutral site. Is what this tournament's supposed to be like. Losing Joseph Tugler and then also end up losing, I think, Jamal Shed, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Like, that's going to make things really tough on UH moving forward because they already play with a tight rotation, and then losing two of those guys out of that rotation in the last couple of weeks is going to make things that much tougher for them. So UH to me is the first one seed that I would see going down if a one seed does end up losing. Outside of that, man, it's gonna be we'll see some upsets here and there. It's just gonna be who gets upset and when. Because we know upsets are gonna happen in the tournament regardless. It does every year.
For sure.
It's just who gets upset and when do they get upset. That's
That's
basically what
always
we
it's either gonna be a first round, Sweet 16. It's always in that first round where somebody gets
Mhm,
caught off guard because they're either overconfident going into the game, like, yeah, I ain't worried about these fools. They suck. We about to
mhm.
blow past them. Look what we've been doing all year. And they're the
Yep,
ones that get rocked. They get rocked the
yep,
hardest.
yep.
So it's definitely I'm gonna love these next few weeks between the men's and women's tournament. I'm probably not gonna focus on any other sport for real but them because it's I mean they pretty much take over the month of March, at the end of March, beginning of April. So
Bruh, it's so much
especially for the
fun.
women because the women's leads into the WNBA draft like literally what
Right.
two what is it like 2
I
nights
want to
later
say their championship game is
is like
like
Monday and then the
Monday,
draft is like
Tuesday. Or
Wednesday.
no, it's like Sunday, or I think, right? Is it Sunday or Tuesday? It's something Sunday or Tuesday because the men's is normally that Monday.
And
So
then the
it's Sunday or
draft is
Tuesday.
like
And then their
within
draft is
days.
like that following weekend.
Yeah, so
I want to say it's like that Saturday or Sunday is their draft.
women's tournament is always a little more interesting just because like I'm following it now. Like I've been
Right.
following, so I know who to watch.
Right.
But now it's like, all right, those same people I've been watching for the last 3 years, now
Mhm.
they're juniors, they're seniors, they're getting
Yeah.
drafted. Now I want to
And
see where they go.
it's to me, it's more fun because
Because
like
we
we
know
get
Caitlin Clark is 9 times out of 10 the number one draft pick. She's going to Indiana. Indiana has the number one pick. Um,
bruh, to see
that's gonna
her with Aaliyah Boston
oh
and
my god, in that
oh
pick and
shit,
roll.
it's another fucking player that the Indiana Fever has that I liked. I can't remember her name though. But that team is gonna be so nasty if they pick up Caitlin Clark with that first overall pick. Like I could definitely see them going from like one of them worst to first or whatever. Like I could see them like making some serious noise in the playoffs. Next year in the WNBA, simply because those girls are so fucking talented, and all you need is to add that one extra little spark.
Is it Lexi Hall?
I'm about to look it up right now. I just pulled. Where is it? Here goes the roster right here. All
I'm
right.
trying to think, or
Who fucking else is it? Dang it! Hold on. Let me look at the snaps. I want to say is Kelsey Mitchell and Elisa and Smith. Because I thought Boston was the leading
Lisa.
rebounder until I realized it was Smith, and I thought Boston was the leading scorer until I realized it was Mitchell. I think it's them two. I think Mitchell is a
Okay.
guard. Yeah, Mitchell is the little guard, and Smith is the other big. Because I was like, is it a guard or is it a big? It's one of each, is what it is. And Smith is like a little bit slimmer, whereas Aaliyah Boston is a little bit thicker. And Aaliyah Boston is their leading blocks per game and their leading person in steals per game as well. So, yeah, because Aaliyah Boston goes about 220 and Elisa Smith is only about 185. And Smith is 6'4", Boston 6'5". So you can see the like 40 or so pound weight difference when you look at those two ladies.
Mm-hmm.
But like just seeing them, like they got the talent. It ain't like they don't have they got the talent. It's just putting it all together is all
And
it is.
adding yeah, that's man. I'm excited for the draft. I pay attention to the WNBA personally. I watch the draft every year to see who's going where, who, you know, what new talent is coming in with the old talent that are already moved around and like free agency who picked up. So I think the crazy part is there's only 12. They don't have a lot of teams. So it's like it's while one side you're looking at the poor getting poorer, the rich are getting richer at the same time because it's not like it's hella teams. There's 12 teams. So
Right.
at some point, let's say there's 15 great players that are coming out of the draft in that first round. Somebody's gonna like that WNBA champion is gonna pick up one of them unless they trade out and decide they don't want to add anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's always the WNBA draft is always fun and interesting.
And the cool thing about it is the team that has the number one pick wasn't the absolute worst team in the league. The Indiana Fever missed the playoffs by about 5-6 games last year. So they weren't like the absolute worst team in the league, but they did not make the playoffs. But you also look at it like, okay, if that team can turn it around and win, 8 more games, now they're a playoff team. Well, then who in that playoff window is going to fall out? Yep. And then once you start to look at the teams who are getting better and who, maybe it's some teams who lost some key free agents or what have you, then that's when you start to see like things shift a little bit and you get that parity that you're looking for. You don't just get the same teams winning over and over and over. You start to get a little parity in there, and that's what you want from your pro sports. You don't want to see the same exact teams winning over and over and over. You want to see some different teams at least contending and making the playoffs and whatnot. If the same teams win championships over and over, that's one thing. But you at least want to see different teams competing for playoff spots and or making the playoffs and or making waves in said playoffs. So it's really fun to see that in the WNBA now, the size of the league with it only being 12 teams. And like you said, if there's, 15 to 18 good players coming out in the draft, well, then, every team is going to get at least one good player. Some teams may get two. So it's just one of those things that I think that the feeder system of women's college basketball is so very healthy right now that is going to help popularize the WNBA. And I think if they can keep that pipeline going and keep that attention going the way they have the last couple of years, I think that'll be good for women's sports just overall, because then you'll have like, okay, we're already seeing women's MMA has become wildly more popular than women's boxing.
Yes.
The women's college basketball is way more popular than the WNBA. The women's professional soccer team, not professional, but the women's U.S. national team made soccer way more popular. Soccer, period, more popular in this country. So again, we just, because we're girl dads and we just love sports, and a lot of the times the women's sports are more fundamentally sound than the men's sports. Let's just be honest, call it is what it is. The men tend to rely on their speed, strength, and athleticism, whereas the women rely on more fundamentals. But we both love the women's game, and we both love pumping up women's sports because we just love sports, period, and we like watching all of it. but it's going to be really interesting to see. And I think this will be the second year in a row that we've both said we're more interested in the women's tournament than the men's tournament.
I definitely was last year.
Yeah,
And
big time.
it definitely lived up to everything it was supposed to be. I think this tournament is definitely the men's tournament is going to surprise us. I think a lot of people are picking Houston as of now.
Mm-hmm.
That Houston North Carolina matchup in the finals. I think North Carolina can pull it off, but I think Houston can shock everybody. Because a lot of people are still not hip and up on Houston and how they're playing and what they've been doing. The men's tournament might be a little more predictable than the women's, in my honesty. I like South Carolina, but I think South Carolina can be beat.
And here's why I think South Carolina can be beat is because they replaced all 5 of their starters.
Which is crazy and still went undefeated.
Still went undefeated.
In
So
dog
it's
fights,
like
though.
you got ballers behind those starters and you brought in a couple of transfers and whatnot, but still, like the fact that those ladies were able to build that kind of chemistry and go undefeated all year is insane. But it's like, can you keep that up through your toughest 6-game stretch if you should happen to win a national championship? Can you keep that up for the next 6 games? And that's going to be the biggest test to see if they can keep it going for the next 6 games. This is my favorite part of the show. Keyz likes it too, but it's my favorite part of the show.
It's Jermaine's favorite. I never have a rant every week. Like I don't be angry. He's angry. I don't have one this week because I just haven't. I don't know. Nothing in. I'm trying to nothing really in sports piss me off.
Honestly,
if this was a different podcast, I'd have a different rant. But mine, sport wise, I don't really have anything this week. Nobody's said or done anything that I'm just like, you stupid nigga.
I really don't have anything to be angry about this week because I don't feel like being angry this week. I'm gonna just tell y'all straight the fuck up, hug your people, tell them you love them, love on them, hug them. You know what I'm saying? Take that trip to go see that person, make that phone call, do that FaceTime, send that tweet, apologize, squash beefs and stuff too, man, because you really don't know.
Yeah,
I had a good buddy of mine echo some of the same sentiments because one of my uncles was one of the officials over my grandfather's funeral. And I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in the family and stuff like that. And one of the things he said was be like daddy, love on your family and just be good to people and stuff like that. And that's how my grandfather was. He was just one of those kind of people where the man would literally give you the shirt off his back or give you his last because he wanted to see you good. And buddy of mine that passed away right last week too, Fred Fowler. He was the same kind of person. He didn't want nobody to worry about him, but he wanted to worry about everybody else. And just losing 2 influential people in my life like that, especially my grandfather, that's the whole reason why I have a beard. People say James Harden, Rick Ross, this, no, fuck them. My grandfather made a beard look cool as fuck ever since I was a little kid. So I was like, when I get the chance, I'm having a fucking beard. And ain't nobody gonna be able to tell me shit about it. And I did it. And I ain't cut my shit. And fuck you if you try to tell me to cut it. But just hug your people, man. Love on your people. That's all I got for y'all this week. But
ditto. That's how I feel too. I always feel like that, man. Especially of course it heightens as you lose people.
Right.
It makes you think about it even more. But I definitely have always been like that. Don't get me wrong. I got beefs and I don't fuck with you. But
facts.
I don't wish bad on you. You know what I mean? I just don't want you around me because fuck you.
Right.
But nah, definitely, family that grandma, that aunt, that cousin, that whoever that you ain't talked to in a minute, send a text, pick up a phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you ain't got the time to call, send a text just to let them know you're thinking about them and you want to make sure they're good, man. You got that grandma around the corner, just go sit with her for a few minutes. That few minutes will make her day more than you think. I used to go sit with my grandma all the time, man. And I could tell
Yeah.
that little bit of time I may be there was probably that was like the height or bright of her day.
Yes. Bro,
Yeah.
like it'd
Friends,
be funny
family,
because
whoever. Make time for your girl, man. She been complaining.
exactly.
Listen to her now. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like,
Exactly.
never know what tomorrow brings.
You don't know, man. And you know what I'm saying? It's just one of them things where you gotta be more mindful, more conscious and whatnot of how short life really is, because when you think you got more time, you really don't. Or when you think that other person has more time, they really don't. And so on that note, we're gonna end it all like how we like to end it. 'Cause this is us. Like, we'll go from showing our emotions, being girl dads, crying, dealing with life and shit.
Run up on big glow, you won't. I bet your ass be on the floor. We carving here like Mayweather. Cooler come through and bow a hoe. Got millions out there rap shit. They hate a bitch, but they stole the flow. Got back in after back in coming. Fuck 'em, I stole the show. Don't run up on that bitch, she a head case. All she do is shoot. I signed my deal up on the PJ and hopped out a parachute. I'm geeked on next week, back no more features. I might just third you. I'm geeked on next week, back no more features. I might have parachute. Yeah, glow. Stomp a little pussy hoe with some shell toes. Yeah, glow. Slapping rap bitches and making bail, ho. Yeah, glow. Two-tone Cartier match the nails, ho. Yeah, glow. No competition, these bitches stay.
So for my brother Keyz, for the
Curbing
sponsor,
on curbing.
Nail Plasters, for the whole CDB multimedia family, Ahan, Dre, Sloan,
Curbing on curbing.
Kyle, fucking Marty, Grammy winning ass nigga. Everybody, all our supporters, sponsors, commenters, and especially the haters. Fucking love y'all too.
Hey man, without y'all, who would I be?
We ain't got nobody to do it for. We ain't doing it. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. So
A great motherfucker. That's who I'd be.
it is what it is.
Yeah, Glow.
For my brother Keyz,
Yeah, ho.
Jermaine, this episode 25 of Sucio Sports.
Yeah, ho.
Till next week. Peace.
Curbing on curbing, ho.
And making bail, ho. Yeah, two-tone Cartier match the nails, ho. Yeah, no competition, these bitches stale, ho. Yeah, curbing on curbing, my shit in layers, ho.